The scent of salt and sunscreen still clung to my skin, a phantom reminder of the life I thought I was living. I stood in the quiet, sterile hallway of my apartment, staring at the half-packed duffel bag on the floor. It was supposed to be filled with hiking boots, sturdy jackets, and topographical maps for our annual mother-daughter backpacking trip through the Appalachian Trail. A trip Amelia, my mother, had meticulously planned for months. My phone buzzed, snapping me out of the daze. It was a text from Aunt Clara, Amelia's younger sister. Clara was, well, Clara. Always a bit dramatic, always the center of attention. Usually, her texts were filled with exclamation points and emojis, detailing the latest gossip or family drama. This one was different. Olivia, darling, you need to stay put. Lily's had an accident. She's at County General. It's serious. My heart stuttered, then slammed against my ribs. Lily. My 16-year-old niece, Clara's daughter. The world tilted. The carefully folded clothes in the duffel bag, the meticulously planned itinerary, the anticipation of crisp mountain air, all of it dissolved into a haze of panic. What happened? I typed, my fingers clumsy and trembling on the screen. It's bad, Liv, came the reply, the words stark and devoid of Clara's usual flair. She fell. Hiking. They had to airlift her. Amelia's with her. She said to tell you to stay, that you'd only be in the way. The air rushed out of my lungs. In the way? That didn't sound like Amelia. My mother was fiercely protective of family, always the first to rush to anyone's side in a crisis. But Lily. Lily was like a second daughter to me. The thought of her lying injured, alone, in a hospital, it was unbearable. I'm coming. I texted back, ignoring the second part of Clara's message. I grabbed my keys, my mind already racing. County General was at least an hour away, maybe more with traffic. I didn't bother finishing packing. I shoved the duffel bag aside, my only thought to get to Lily. The drive was a blur of flashing lights and honking horns. My hands were slick with sweat on the steering wheel, my knuckles white. Every red light felt like an eternity, every slow car a personal affront. Had Lily been careless? She was usually so cautious, so aware of her surroundings. Had Amelia been distracted? Had they argued? The questions gnawed at me, fueling the anxiety that churned in my stomach. When I finally screeched into the hospital parking lot, I practically leaped out of the car before it came to a complete stop. I raced inside, my heart hammering against my ribs. The sterile scent of antiseptic and the hushed murmur of voices only amplified the sense of dread. Lily Miller, I gasped to the receptionist, my voice hoarse and shaky. She was airlifted. I'm her aunt, Olivia. The receptionist, a woman with tired eyes and a name tag that read Brenda, frowned slightly as she typed into the computer. Her fingers seemed to move in slow motion, each keystroke stretching out the agonizing wait. I'm sorry. She said finally, her voice flat and devoid of emotion. There's no Lily Miller listed as a patient here. My breath caught. No, there has to be a mistake. I insisted, my voice rising in pitch. She was airlifted. My aunt, my mother, they said she was here. Brenda gave me a sympathetic look, the kind that nurses probably reserve for the overly anxious and distraught. I'll check again, honey. She said, her fingers flying over the keyboard once more. The seconds ticked by, each one an eternity. My gaze darted around the waiting room, taking in the anxious faces, the hushed conversations, the pervasive sense of unease. It all felt surreal, like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I'm sorry. Brenda repeated, her voice softer this time. There's no record of a Lily Miller being admitted today. Are you sure you have the right hospital? My mind reeled. This didn't make sense. Clara had been so frantic, so specific. County General. Airlifted. Amelia was with her. How could there be no record? Maybe they'd taken her to a different hospital. Maybe there had been a mix-up. Maybe. I pulled out my phone and dialed Clara's number. It rang twice, then went straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same result. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. Then, my phone buzzed again. A notification. A flicker of hope surged through me. Maybe it was Clara, explaining the confusion. Maybe Lily was fine. Maybe. The notification was from the social media. A new post from Amelia. My blood turned to ice. The photo showed a gleaming white yacht, slicing through turquoise water under a cloudless sky. Laughter. Sunshine. And there, standing on the deck, her arm around Clara, was Amelia. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a ponytail, sunglasses perched on her nose, a glass of something sparkling in her hand. Beside them, beaming, were my grandparents and several other family members, people I vaguely recognized as distant cousins. The caption read, "Family time. Best vacation ever. Hashtag blessed, hashtag yacht life, hashtag making memories." My stomach lurched. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding so violently I thought I might be sick. Lily wasn't in the hospital. Lily wasn't injured. Lily wasn't even in the state. They had lied. My own family had lied to me. The realization hit me like a physical blow. They hadn't wanted me on that trip. They had concocted an elaborate, cruel deception to keep me away. But why? My fingers trembled as I scrolled through the comments. One, from my cousin Ethan, stood out. "Looks amazing. Wish I could be there, but someone's gotta hold down the fort." Hold down the fort. The words echoed in my mind. They had used me. They had deliberately kept me behind to, what? Manage their affairs? Take care of their responsibilities? While they sailed off on a luxurious vacation? The anger started to build, a slow, burning fire in my chest. I felt betrayed, humiliated, used. But beneath the anger, a deeper, more chilling question began to surface. Where was Lily? If she wasn't in the hospital, and she wasn't on the yacht, where was she? Panic, raw and visceral, clawed at my throat. I pulled away from the hospital, my tires screeching as I sped towards Lily's school. If they had lied about the accident, what else had they lied about? The drive was a frantic, desperate race against time. My mind spun with possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. Had they taken her somewhere? Had they? I couldn't even finish the thought. I stormed into the school office, my heart pounding in my ears. "Lily Miller," I demanded, my voice barely controlled. "Is she here?" The receptionist, a young woman with a startled expression, looked up from her computer. "Yes, she's in class." "Is there a problem?" Relief, so intense it almost brought me to my knees, washed over me. She was safe. At least, she was physically safe. But the betrayal, the deception, that remained. "No," I managed to say, my throat tight. "No problem. I thought she was sick." The receptionist gave me a sympathetic smile. "She seems fine. Would you like me to call her down?" I almost said yes. I wanted to see her, to hold her, to make sure she was truly okay. But I shook my head. No, let her finish her day. I walked back to my car in a daze. Lily was safe, but the world had shifted on its axis. My family, the people I had trusted implicitly, had deliberately, cruelly, lied to me. And I had no idea why. As I drove, I replayed the events of the past few hours in my mind, searching for clues, for any hint of what might have motivated their deception. The yacht. The family vacation. The deliberate exclusion. It all pointed to something bigger, something more sinister than just a simple desire to leave me behind. My phone buzzed again. Another text message. This time, it was from Uncle George, Amelia's brother, and my grandfather's favorite. "Liv, honey, we're having so much fun. Wish you were here. The water is incredible. You'd love the snorkeling. Attached were more photos. Amelia and Clara, laughing and posing on the deck of the yacht. My grandparents, sipping cocktails. The distant cousins, looking tanned and relaxed. And then, a photo that made my blood run cold. It was a picture of Clara, standing on the beach, wearing a new, expensive-looking swimsuit. Her hand was resting on the shoulder of a man I didn't recognize, a man with dark hair and a smug smile. They were standing close, their bodies touching, in a way that suggested more than just casual acquaintance. Another text from Uncle George. Clara's new friend, Mark, is a real catch. He even upgraded us to the presidential suite. #living the life. The presidential suite. The words burned into my brain. They had used my money. My mother, my aunt, my entire family, they had used me, and my hard-earned money, to fund their luxurious vacation with Clara's new boyfriend. The realization was like a punch to the gut. I had been working overtime for months, saving every penny for our backpacking trip, sacrificing my own needs and desires to make sure we had enough. And they had taken it all, without a second thought. I pulled over to the side of the road, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. I felt sick, betrayed, utterly and completely devastated. They had not only lied to me, they had stolen from me. But there was something else, something that gnawed at me even more than the financial betrayal. The casual cruelty of it all. The way they had used Lily's supposed injury to manipulate me. The way they had flaunted their happiness in my face. It was more than just a vacation. It was a deliberate, calculated act of exclusion. And I needed to know why. Instead of going home, I drove to my grandparents' house. If anyone knew the truth, it was them. And if they thought they could just ignore me and let this blow over, they were in for a rude awakening. I pounded on the door, not a polite knock, but a furious demand. My grandmother, Eleanor, opened the door, her face pale and drawn. "Olivia," she said, her voice trembling. "You're supposed to be." "Supposed to be what?" I snapped, stepping inside. Sitting at home, waiting for news about Lily that was never going to come? Waiting for you all to return from your luxurious vacation, funded by my money? Eleanor swallowed hard, her eyes darting around nervously. "It's not what you think," she whispered. "Then tell me what it is," I demanded, my voice rising. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my own family lied to me, stole from me, and used me to pay for their vacation with Clara's new boyfriend. Eleanor's face crumpled. She hesitated, then, in a hushed voice, she whispered something that made my blood run cold. "We told Amelia not to do it." My heart thudded against my ribs. "Do what?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Eleanor sighed, looking away. "She's been planning this for months," she said, her voice trembling. "We all knew. We didn't think she'd actually go through with it." My fingers curled into fists. "The money," I said, my voice shaking. "Where did it all go?" Eleanor's silence was my answer. Amelia had drained my accounts. She had planned everything, and I had been nothing more than a pawn in her game. But she had made one fatal mistake. She had underestimated me. She had thought I would just accept it, that I would quietly fade into the background while they enjoyed their ill-gotten gains. She had no idea what was coming next. The drive back to my apartment was a blur of rage, disbelief, and cold, calculating determination. The pieces were falling into place, and they painted a picture I never wanted to see. My mother, the woman I had trusted, admired, loved, had orchestrated an entire betrayal behind my back. It wasn't just about the money. It wasn't just about the vacation. It was about something deeper, something more fundamental. It was about control. About power. About the way my family had always treated me, as the responsible one, the caretaker, the one who could be relied upon to clean up their messes. I wasn't going to let them get away with it. I parked in front of my apartment building, my hands still gripping the steering wheel, my breathing uneven. I didn't rush inside. I didn't scream or cry or break things. No, I sat there, my thoughts sharp as a blade. If they had gone this far to lie, cheat, and steal from me, I needed to know everything. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in years. Daniel, I said, my voice steady and calm. It's Olivia. I need your help. Daniel was my ex-boyfriend, from a lifetime ago. He was also a private investigator. A very good one. There was a beat of silence on the other end of the line. Olivia? Wow, it's been a while. What's up? I need you to find out everything you can about my mother, Amelia, I said, my voice low and urgent. And her sister, Clara. And a man named Mark. I don't know his last name. Everything? Daniel asked, his voice laced with surprise. Everything, I confirmed. Financial records, travel history, phone records, anything you can find. And I need it fast. Okay, Daniel said, his tone shifting to one of professional seriousness. This sounds serious. What's going on? They lied to me, Daniel. I said, my voice shaking with suppressed anger. They stole from me. And I need to know why. I'm on it. Daniel said. Give me a few hours. I hung up and sat in silence for a long moment, my gaze fixed on the apartment building. It no longer felt like home. It felt like a prison, a reminder of the life I had been living, a life built on lies and deception. I grabbed my laptop and logged into my bank accounts. My heart pounded as I navigated through the statements, my stomach tightening with every transaction I saw. Thousands of dollars. Gone. Withdrawals, transfers, payments to unfamiliar accounts. Amelia had been systematically draining my savings for months. There were purchases at high-end stores, payments for expensive restaurants, and then a large transfer to a real estate agency. My breath caught. A house? Had she bought a house? With my money? I slammed the laptop shut, my teeth grinding. She thought she could get away with this. She thought she could use me, discard me, and sail off into the sunset with her ill-gotten gains. She was wrong. My phone buzzed again. It was Daniel. Olivia. He said, his voice grim. You're not going to like this. Just tell me. I said, my voice steel. Your mother, she's been having an affair, Daniel said. With Mark. For over a year. The world tilted. I gripped the phone tighter, my knuckles white. An affair? All this time, she had been living a double life. And the house? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. It's in both their names. Daniel confirmed. Amelia and Mark. They bought it together, 2 months ago. 2 months ago. That was before she had even mentioned the backpacking trip. She had been planning this all along. She had been planning to leave me, to take everything I had, and start a new life with another man. There's more. Daniel said, his voice hesitant. They've been talking about getting custody of Lily. Custody? My mind reeled. They were trying to take Lily away from Clara? But why? Clara's unstable. Daniel said, choosing his words carefully. She has a history of substance abuse. And Mark, he has a criminal record. Assault. They're not fit parents. A chilling realization washed over me. They weren't just trying to steal my money. They were trying to steal Lily, too. They were using me, manipulating me, to get what they wanted. And they were going to use Lily as a pawn in their game. I stood there, frozen, my mind refusing to process the full extent of their betrayal. It was too much, too cruel, too calculated. But I wasn't going to let them win. I wasn't going to let them hurt Lily. I wasn't going to let them destroy my life. Daniel, I said, my voice firm and resolute. I need you to do one more thing for me. Anything, he said. I need you to find me the best family lawyer in the state. I said. Because I'm going to fight back. And I'm going to win. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. I barely slept, fueled by adrenaline and a burning desire for justice. I met with the lawyer, Sarah Chin, a woman with a sharp mind and an even sharper tongue. She listened to my story, her expression hardening with each detail. "They've underestimated you, Olivia," Sarah said, her voice firm. "They think they can get away with this. They think they can manipulate the system. They're wrong. We filed for a restraining order against Amelia and Mark, preventing them from having any contact with Lily. We froze their assets, cutting off their access to my money. And we started building a case for custody, gathering evidence of Clara's instability, Mark's criminal record, and Amelia's deliberate deception. It was a long, arduous process, filled with legal battles, emotional turmoil, and constant setbacks. But I didn't give up. I fought for Lily, for myself, for the life that had been stolen from me. The day of the custody hearing arrived, and I walked into the courtroom, my heart pounding, my hands trembling. Amelia and Mark were there, sitting across the room, their faces pale and drawn. Clara was nowhere to be seen. The hearing was brutal. Sarah presented our case, laying bare the full extent of Amelia and Mark's deception, their manipulation, their cruelty. She showed the court the bank statements, the real estate documents, the photos from the yacht, the text messages, everything. Amelia and Mark tried to defend themselves, but their lies crumbled under Sarah's relentless questioning. They looked weak, pathetic, desperate. The judge, a stern-faced woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, listened intently, her expression unreadable. Finally, after hours of testimony and cross-examination, she delivered her verdict. Custody of Lily Miller is awarded to Olivia Martin, she said, her voice echoing through the courtroom. Amelia Martin and Mark Reynolds are to have no contact with Lily Miller until further notice. And all marital assets, including the house, are to be frozen pending further investigation. A wave of relief, so intense it almost brought me to my knees, washed over me. I had won. I had protected Lily. I had taken back my life.